Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
After a mass shooting in a busy Toronto, Canada neighborhood, officials are trying to figure out a motive. I'm Laura Podesta. I'll tell you what the mayor wants changed in response to this incident.
The waters of Yellowstone National Park may be pristine, but that doesn't mean that they're safe for an angler's greatest trophy. I'm John Sheeran. Coming up, I'll show you what's being done to protect the Yellowstone cutthroat trout.
Good morning to you. Welcome to your Monday. Current time 6:29. Our top story for you now. Authorities in Canada are investigating a deadly shooting in Toronto last night.
One woman was killed, 13 others, including a 9-year-old girl, were wounded. CBS's Laura Podesta has the latest this morning from New York.
Emergency responders are seen tending to gunshot victims lying on the sidewalk after a man opened fire in a busy Toronto neighborhood Sunday night.
A rapid fire and then there'd be a pause and some more fire. We didn't know what it was. We saw people starting to run in our direction.
Police say the suspect was using a handgun and shooting into restaurants and cafes, striking more than a dozen people before he was killed by police. Whether the incident was related to terrorism is still under investigation.
Because it's early, we don't have a lot of what has caused the motivation of this, and we are actively investigating that right now.
Toronto's mayor is urging the public to keep calm.
Reassure each other that we still live in a great city, but that we have to be ever more vigilant about these kinds of things that happen in big cities.
He added that Canada has a gun problem, saying that guns are too readily available to too many people and something needs to be done about it. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
An update this morning as well. A second victim has died from that shooting. By the way, last month a man plowed a van into pedestrians on a Toronto sidewalk, killing 10 people. Authorities have yet to determine a motive for that attack. We'll have more coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS this morning. Again, 2 victims now in addition to the shooting.
That's tough. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Switching gears, Matt joins us now. Really nice start to the day, pretty mild.
Yeah, it was nice to get that breeze. I just didn't expect it necessarily to blow on me half the evening, right? Temperature's actually not bad this morning, into the 40s and 50s. The strange thing, that wind isn't all across the area. It's just kind of hit and miss with some of those stronger wind speeds. Man, beautiful shot this morning. You see the wind pushing the flag around this morning on the MSU campus. Fairly mild conditions for the early part of the day, the afternoon into the mid to upper 80s. We do have a few rain chances building back into the forecast. We'll go outside and talk about that in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. 6:32 now. An update on a new fire burning in Gallatin Canyon. Bacon Rind Fire, which started on Friday, continues to burn in the Lee Metcalf Wilderness, just 20 miles south of Big Sky. That fire, which started during a thunderstorm, burning an estimated 25 acres within a 50-acre perimeter, but did receive some much-needed moisture Saturday night. Fire officials say the fire is not threatening any structures, but smoke may be visible from Highway 191.
And former U.S. ambassador to Russia and a Montana native, Michael McFall, was at the country bookstore yesterday promoting his new book. MTN's Medeiros Babb talked with him to find out about his stance on recent events with Russia and President Donald Trump.
It's always great to be back in Montana. I love it here, and it was great to see so many. I mean, hundreds of people came to my talk. A real demonstration that people in Montana also care about foreign policy. It really made me feel great to be here today.
Michael McFall grew up in Butte and Bozeman, but this last week his name was known worldwide. On Monday, during the summit in Helsinki, Vladimir Putin said he would allow the FBI to question Russian agents about hacking crimes concerning the 2016 election if Russian investigators could interview McFall. Trump called it an incredible offer.
And I was deeply disappointed in President Trump that he didn't understand the situation. He should have pushed back on that. It is an outrageous thing to equate those people indicted with the 11 U.S. government officials. And I would hope moving forward he would do a little more homework about his brief before he meets with Vladimir Putin.
On Thursday, the Senate rejected the idea of interrogation by voting unanimously 98-0. Later, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders said the offer was made in sincerity. However, Trump had decided not to take it.
To still describe the quote-unquote offer as a sincere gesture by Vladimir Putin suggests to me that the White House doesn't really understand who Vladimir Putin is.
When McFaul was asked why Putin deeply despises him, he answered, "Because I understand his tactics and speak out against him." In Bozeman, Medeiros Babb, MTN News.
The Associated Press reports McFaul's book sales have landed on Amazon's top 10 in the rise of these latest controversies. And Raymond Hunthausen, the retired Archbishop of Seattle and Anaconda native, has passed away. He passed away at his home in Helena at the age of 96. According to the National Catholic Reporter, Hunthausen worked at his family's grocery store and a brewery in Anaconda before attending Carroll College in 1939. He graduated in '43 with a degree in chemistry. He later received an advanced degree in chemistry from Notre Dame University, and he went on to become the president of Carroll College in 1957. He became the Bishop of Helena in '62 and took over as Seattle Bishop in 1975. And then in 1991, he resigned as Bishop of Seattle after pressure from the Vatican to curb his strong opposition to war, and especially Trident nuclear submarines docked in Seattle.
Also, the National Park Foundation giving $500,000 grant to Yellowstone National Park to help replenish the native cutthroat trout population. MTN's John Shearer explains how the money will be used and why it's needed.
These waters hold a great prize that many anglers travel a long way to find, the Yellowstone cutthroat trout. But this prize is threatened by a danger that previous generations of anglers themselves introduced.
Beginning in 1889 and 1890.
Wanting to provide more opportunities for anglers, the U.S. Fish Commission stocked some Yellowstone lakes that actually held no fish at all until then.
And some of the first ones were these non-native lake trout.
At the time, biologists thought there was no way fish could migrate from Lewis and Shoshone lakes to Yellowstone Lake. But the fish found a way.
There is a chance that the lake trout actually accessed Yellowstone Lake over time by swimming up and over to Ocean Pass.
It took almost a century for that to happen, but once it did,
the Yellowstone cutthroat trout, the native fish in the area, just completely plummeted.
But the biologists had a solution.
So we have a large netting program, a gill netting program that's targeting these invasive non-native lake trout.
The program costs more than $1 million a year, and that's where Heather White and Yellowstone Forever step in.
So we received a $500,000 donation from the National Park Foundation and the Argyris Foundation to support the native fish program at Yellowstone National Park.
We are pretty actively now trying to reverse a lot of what went on over the last century or so.
That means taking to the streams too, where planted brook and rainbow trout threaten the native cutthroats.
We'll electrofish.
Anglers are sometimes asked to keep all non-native fish, and sometimes streams are poisoned.
If we have situations where the cutthroat or the grayling, for example, are totally gone.
And it's not just fish that benefit.
It has impacts with osprey, with bears, with beavers, and with other wildlife.
It's actually an ecosystem restoration effort, and that's what this money is buying.
And it doesn't hurt that anglers are now starting to benefit as well.
We're hearing people say how exciting it is to go fishing, and whenever they go, they see a Yellowstone cutthroat trout, and they're excited to see the native fish come back.
That fish is filling the net, man. Look at that. Oh my word.
The efforts to protect Yellowstone cutthroat trout will have to go on for decades. For MTN News, I'm John Shearer on the banks of the Madison River in Yellowstone National Park.
Now you can see the full interviews with Heather White and Todd Kuhl at KBZK and KXLF.com.
That's some fascinating stuff. And in This Week Under the Big Sky, John and Courtney McKee, owners of Headframe Spirits in Butte, have ambitious plans for the future of their distillery. Having moved into their new home at the once-abandoned Kelly Mine Yard, the couple and their team hope to create the largest distillery in the western United States. John and Courtney's hope for the future was not always so bright. Headframe Spirits began under less than ideal circumstances.
Under the Big Sky is sponsored by Rocky Mountain Vein Clinic and Markovich Real Estate.
The idea for Headframe Spirits came about after the company that John was working for declared bankruptcy.
We were design build, so you'd call me up and you'd say, hey, I've got $52 million, build me a diesel refinery, and I'd say, you got it. But then the recession hit. nobody had $52 million to design and build anything anymore. So she said, okay, what are you going to do with yourself? And I said, I don't know, I'm going to be a kept man. I'm going to, get the kids to school, and I'm going to make lunches, I'm going to do laundry.
It's polite to say that I told him that that would not happen.
I said, all right, well, what do I do? I'm almost challenging her, right? And she said, well, you like hooch and you know how to distill.
And like that, you could see the light bulb just go off over his head. We went to the very first bank with a binder this thick. The banker looked at us and said, this is the most amazing business plan I have ever seen. We're not going to loan you money, but this is really, really nicely put together. Which then was the same story we heard from the second bank and then from the third bank. This had been a year of our lives. We were stunningly broke. It was really hard. It was scary and it was stressful. I was not going to let that story end on a lousy note like that. By the time we signed loan paperwork, I was bound and determined to prove to everyone that what we were doing was a great idea.
And I'm a believer. You can watch the entire Headframe Spirits story at underthebigsky.com and send us a bottle of Orphan Girl while you're at it.
There you go. That's
yummy.
A great story.
Love
great
that.
people.
So
That's
cool.
a great spirit about themselves.
I love it. Headframe Spirits. It is time for a quick break. When Montana This Morning returns, we introduce you to a family that wants to make seeing wildlife fun and safe experience for you and your family from the comfort of your own home. I'll explain that story for you in just a minute. But first, we head to New York, where John Dickerson is taking a look at your developing headlines coming up right here at 7 on CBS.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, we have the fallout from President Trump's explosive threat to Iran overnight, and you soon may not need to take your liquids or laptops out when you go through security. Chris Van Cleve gets a preview of the new airport scanners that use the same technology as a CAT scan. See you at 7.